Her knees gave out before the tears did, and for a moment she truly believed this was the night she would not survive, not because of the pain blooming across her bruised shoulder, but because something inside her had finally broken. The fluorescent lights of the quiet office lobby blurred as she clutched herself, shaking, every breath shallow and frightened, her mind replaying fear faster than her heart could calm it. Imagine standing there, stripped of dignity, wondering whether anyone would notice if you simply disappeared. What would you do if you realized that the world you trusted had become the place you feared the most? Rebecca had not planned to end up in the headquarters of one of the largest companies in downtown Chicago. She had only run, barefoot and desperate, away from a night that had gone wrong in every possible way. The man she once trusted had not only raised his hand, but had made it clear he would do it again, and worse if she tried to leave. She carried that truth like a weight pressing against her lungs. Her arm throbbed where fingers had dug in too hard, dark marks already forming, silent witnesses to something she wished no one would ever see. But fate has a cruel way of forcing pain into the open, especially when someone unexpected is watching. Michael Carter had stayed late that night, not because he loved the silence of an empty building, but because single fatherhood had taught him that work was often the only place quiet still existed. As CEO, he carried responsibility like a tailored suit, perfectly fitted yet heavy by the end of the day. As a father, he carried guilt, wondering if his long hours stole moments he could never reclaim with his 8-year-old son, Noah. When he noticed the security alert on his screen and stepped into the lobby, he expected a routine issue. What he saw instead stopped him cold. Rebecca stood there like a wounded animal, eyes wide with terror, arms crossed over herself as if trying to hold her soul together. Michael had negotiated billion-dollar deals without flinching, but nothing had prepared him for the raw fear etched across her face. The marks on her skin told a story louder than words ever could. In that instant, his world shifted, not with the force of corporate collapse, but with the quiet devastation of human suffering laid bare. He wondered, not for the first time in his life, how many people walked past pain every day without ever truly seeing it. Rebecca tried to explain without speaking, her body language pleading for understanding, even as shame threatened to swallow her whole. She felt exposed, humiliated, and certain that judgment was moments away. If you were standing in her place, would you expect kindness, or would you brace for rejection the way she did? She had learned the hard way that help often came with conditions, and compassion was rarely free. Yet something in Michael's stillness, the way he did not rush or look away, made her pause. Michael did not see a problem to be solved or a liability to manage. He saw a woman who had reached the edge and somehow kept going. Memories he kept buried surfaced without warning. Nights when his late wife, Hannah, had cried quietly in the kitchen during her illness, apologizing for being a burden even as she faded away. He remembered promising her that kindness would be the legacy he taught their son, not power or wealth. Standing there with Rebecca trembling in front of him, he realized this was not a coincidence, but a test of who he truly was. Over the next hours, time moved differently. Rebecca found herself sitting in a warm office, wrapped in a borrowed jacket, the city lights glowing softly outside the windows. She did not speak much, but she did not need to. Michael arranged help with calm efficiency, not as a CEO issuing commands, but as a man determined to do what was right. He never asked questions that felt invasive, never looked at her with pity. For the first time in months, Rebecca felt safe enough to breathe fully. Days turned into weeks, and Rebecca's life began to change in small, fragile ways. She stayed at a shelter at first, then found temporary work, each step forward feeling uncertain yet necessary. Michael kept his distance, careful not to overstep, but he checked in through quiet channels, making sure support never vanished the moment the crisis passed. His son, Noah, noticed the difference in his father, the way his voice softened, the way he spoke more often about courage and kindness at the dinner table. Pain, Michael realized, had a way of reshaping priorities faster than success ever could. Rebecca carried her scars invisibly now, but they shaped her in ways she was still learning to understand. Some nights she woke up afraid, heart racing, convinced she was back in that moment when escape felt impossible. But there were also mornings when sunlight through the window felt like a promise instead of a reminder. She began to believe that surviving did not mean forgetting, and that strength did not always look loud or confident. Sometimes it looked like showing up again after thinking you never could. Months later, their paths crossed again, not in desperation, but in quiet gratitude. There was no dramatic reunion, no sweeping declarations, just two people who understood that a single moment of compassion could redirect an entire life. Michael saw in Rebecca the resilience he hoped to teach his son, and Rebecca saw in Michael proof that power could exist without cruelty. If you were given one chance to step in when it mattered most, would you take it, even if it changed you forever? Before the story ends, take a moment and tell me in the comments what part of Rebecca's journey touched you the most, or what choice you think you would have made if you were in Michael's place. The night Rebecca thought she would die became the night she began to live again, not because the pain disappeared, but because someone chose to see her when she felt invisible. And if this story stirred something in your heart, reminded you of kindness, regret, or second chances, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. But only if it truly moved you, because sometimes the smallest acts of compassion are the ones that save lives.